My name is Marilee Burnett. I am back again with the tarot messages for the week of December 16th, which is going to wrap us up right before the holidays. And trust me, you're going to want to come back and listen to next week's recording as well, because things are going to be very interesting over the Christmas holiday. So to do that, of course, you want to click on that little subscribe button below. That way you'll get a notification every time I publish my new content, and I will get it published before the holiday week. So be sure and tune in for that. And then remember to go out to my website, marileeburnett.com, sign up there and register to be a member. And that way you get access to all of my content, and it will be emailed to you, my articles, the monthly horoscope and the new moon and full moon articles, and anything else special I happen to put out. You're on the mailing list, but I do not spam you and I do not send you 10,000 emails. I just try to keep it short and simple. So join me there. And then also, while you're on my website, are you looking for a last minute holiday gift idea? Then purchase one of my gift cards, purchase a gift certificate, and let me know what I can do to help you. But you can pick any denomination out there. And chances are I'm going to probably sneak in one more special offer before this video is published. So you'll want to take a peek and see what that is, to, again, take advantage of some special offers that I have for you, including the 2025 readings. And I did do a private recording for 2025. Once I finish editing it, I will publish it out on this website as well. It was a really interesting call. I spent about an hour deep diving into 2025 and all of the outer planets and their changes, and a little bit of a history lesson with everything as well. So I will try to get that published soon, but of course, the days are ticking away quicker than I may be ready for it and Christmas, but I will do my very best to get it out there for you shortly. All right. So with that, as usual, we will get started on Monday. And on Monday, we will start looking, of course, at Astro Gold as I'm playing with my screen, and it's still Mercury retrograde, so please be patient. I can't guarantee you how this is going to go. So we will try and do our best, though. So now, as we look at Monday, and if you've been following me, you know that I spend most of my time focused in on anything that I see standing out with a bold line of energy. The faint ones are either things that are dissipating or not here yet, and so we'll talk about them as the week progresses. But as we start off on Monday, December 16th, we're going to talk about Mercury retrograde being over. Yay! Mercury in Sagittarius is at its fall. It's too much of the big picture. And Mercury wants the small little details. And so it made this a more difficult, challenging time because of the fact that Mercury was slowing down, changing direction, and in a sign it doesn't love to be in. And so it's like I say, the planets act like spoiled children when things are being done that they don't want to participate in, right? So thankfully it's over, but now whatever was causing us chaos or making life difficult, we have to kind of clean it up and fix it so that we can move forward. So we'll start there. And as that begins on Monday, Mercury is still speaking in harmony. Blue energy in a triangle is a trine, 120 degrees of support with this Mars energy. But now Mars remains retrograde. It started on December 6th, so 10 days ago. And it's still trying to inspire Mercury, right? But Mercury trying to move forward quickly with the help of Mars, but Mars isn't got quite the momentum it would expect. It can make Monday a little bit chaotic, right? It's like trying to help you move forward, but I don't have all the energy I normally have. And so watch travel on Monday. It could get a little bit dicey, and information could get a little, again, too big for us to be able to manage. So we'll see how that plays out. The weekend before can give us some indication to what that may end up looking like. All right. Let us move ourselves ahead. And I'm actually not going to spend any time on Tuesday because I'm going to focus on Wednesday. And so on Wednesday, we see the bold red and a square. So that's a significant event. And squares make us pause and consider the obstacle that's in front of us. And we have to decide, how are we going to work through it? Are we even going to? But a change in direction is needed if you want to work with and manage the energy in the conflict. So the sun in Sagittarius is a pretty big figure. Could be an important leader or teacher, somebody important internationally. And they're at conflict with somebody who's more of like a spiritual leader of some kind. Be like the Pope and Putin in some kind of a conflict. Like that's the energy that feels intense. And then on a personal level, right, it's this need for growth and expansion and my personal success that might be in conflict with some bit of my spiritual values. And I have to make a decision on how I'm going to pursue what it is I want. And what if what I want has me giving up a creative dream of some kind? And then also, whenever we have a square with Neptune energy, sometimes it's just the fact that if you've been wearing rose-colored glasses in any area of your life, so you'll want to consider what house you have this Neptune energy in, those rose-colored glasses can be ripped off of your face. So be prepared for a serious truth to be exposed in some way as a potential resolution to some of this conflict. So that happens on Wednesday. And then the other thing happening there is just this, not that this is exact yet, but we're starting to see Pluto with the nodes getting closer and closer together. So the nodes move backwards, so they're counting down from 2 to 0. And of course, Pluto would move forward from 0 to 2, but it's just moved into Aquarius, and it moves so very slowly that you're going to see the nodes catching up faster at the end of this month, the first part of January. They'll be speaking harmoniously with Pluto and Aquarius. So this is some kind of powerful transformation, something that is occurring that's fated. It could have something to do with justice, it could have something to do with war, both, right? And it's the people, Aquarius, who are being changed, being transformed as a result of both of these things. Relationships from the past, karmic relationships play a role in whatever this transformation is, which is Pluto, transformation, death, rebirth. And then that North Node, there's something about fighting for your independence. So maybe it's a group of people who gain independence, and doing so is fated. Of course, we've just recently seen the fall of the Syria regime. Will there be more? Potentially, yes. Lots more. All next year, there will be lots more. So we'll talk, of course, about that in 2025. So then that gets us to Thursday. So let us move us forward. Now, Thursday is an interesting day because we have the two benefics, which is Venus in Aquarius, speaking in harmony with Jupiter in Gemini. So when the two benefics come together, this is a blessing of some kind. So again, Venus in Aquarius is love of people, right? Love of the internet, love of connection, love of science, right? And Jupiter in Gemini at its fall, because, right, we have Jupiter and Sagittarius, this receptive energy because they're in each other's home signs. So Jupiter's at fall in Gemini, like Mercury's at fall in Sagittarius. But there's something about communication on this day, on Thursday the 19th, that will be really, really important in some way. So Look for important communication maybe to come to you. And there's something about communicating with a teacher or a mentor from the past that could come up because of the fact that this Jupiter and Gemini energy is still retrograde. The other thing that we're going to have to watch too is this square that is building up again between Saturn and Jupiter. This causes big changes. And so this is the second time that they are going to meet. And so we're going to want to keep an eye on this, but they're both giant planets. So their influence is felt earlier, and it doesn't have to be exact to be notable. But now as Saturn is moving forward in the sign of Pisces and Jupiter is retrograde, there's a different meeting that is occurring between these, and Jupiter is helping us reflect on the past where Saturn is trying to move us forward. And so there's some conflict there, right? The information from the past is in some way impeding our forward progress. So this could be, again, a very interesting week. We'll see as these become exact. But those blessings, check out the houses that you have Venus in Aquarius and Jupiter in Gemini, and look at what information you get this week that is and should be good news. All right, let us move on to Friday. And of course, Friday, we're still seeing the connection between Venus and Jupiter, but Venus is starting to move forward quickly. Still the square building between Saturn and Jupiter. And then this is the last day of the sun in Sagittarius. And so transition stress is what I used to call it when my daughter came home from her dad's. This... Sorry, too much information. This is the sun, though. And when planets transition from one sign to the next, there can be some transition stress as well. It's a critical degree, that 29th degree. There's an intensity to it. And there is, I always say, like some kind of a test, right? It's like, okay, I've been here for 29 degrees, whatever planet it is. What did you learn? What did you do with the time that you had with me? And show it to me. What is that? And so something big, right? There could be a huge test, something huge going on internationally because Sagittarius rules foreign people, foreign places, and foreign countries. And there's some conflict going on, and it's just starting to build on Friday. So we're going to want to pay close attention to this. So let's move ahead to Saturday. Now, Saturday, the energy is looking a little bit like a Christmas tree because it's really lit up. But Saturday, December 21st, also happens to be the winter solstice. And so that means, thank goodness, we have now equal parts day and night. So in the northern hemisphere, this is our darkest day of the year. And in the southern, it's the longest, right? And so equal parts day and night is about balance, right? And it's also about transition and change because we move into winter in the northern hemisphere. And of course, during the winter is when everything becomes dormant. And while it seems like nothing's happening while things are dormant, we know differently, right? We know this is the beginning of the rebirth and of that transformation that comes with the spring. So if you think about the winter solstice, it's very much like Pluto, right? Energy that has us go within and transform and change in big ways. And so it begins. So it's always important as the seasons change, which means this is a cardinal sign. That is how these are broken out. All the cardinal signs are aligned with the change of the seasons. And so that means we have to consider what changes and what action we want to take that will help us change in the spring, right? So what do we need to let go of? What do we need to let die? Where do we need to do the work? Because Capricorn, of course, is about doing the work, the really hard work. And at 0 degrees now, a planet has a fresh start, a little bit like new moon energy, right? It's a blank slate. So as the sun, which represents your success, your ego self, that person that you talk to in the car is your sun, right? I'm talking to myself all the time, and that's your ego, right? It's that person that you go to for advice. And there's something about the work you need to do that's coming up in a big way today. And the work you're doing needs to change. So we've got now 2 planets working with their connection to the nodes. I've already mentioned Pluto, and that is ongoing work. We're beginning to see important transition and important fated work that is building in intensity on Saturday as the sun moves in to Capricorn and starts having difficult conversations with the nodes, which is in contrast to Pluto that's having a positive conversation with the nodes. So there's something about the way you're working. It could be something collectively about the way the government is working. There could be conflicts because of a new government that's trying to establish itself. And there are things coming up. There are relationships from the past. There are actions that have been taken that are threatening the establishment of a new government order, for instance. So that's just one example, but you'll want to look, where do you have this happening? You always have this activity every time the sun goes into Capricorn and it's the winter solstice. It's the same place in your chart. But this time there's something about fate and destiny that are also adding to the work. And it's just beginning here, and it will continue to escalate all week long. So that's one that we will want to watch. Also, there could be something odd with this Venus and Aquarius energy speaking at this odd angle with the moon in Virgo. And a moon in Virgo can be really kind of controlling and very factual and detail oriented. When that's your feelings, that can stress you out a bit more because you might be feeling too connected to too many things and it's overwhelming you. Women somehow are connected because of this Venus and moon energy. Moon represents women and motherhood, right? Venus is women, money, connections. There's something odd about women and the connections that are going on Saturday. So we'll want to keep an eye out on what that is. And then I mentioned, of course, that square building between Saturn and Jupiter. Well, again, on Saturday, the moon steps in and adds to their square, which now makes this a T-square. So there is some kind of emotional upset and frustration. There could be threats to boundaries of some kind. And this Jupiter energy is the peacemaker. There's somebody who's playing a peacemaker role, and we'll see that person, that entity, try to step forward and resolve whatever this building conflict is. And if we didn't have enough activation of the nodes as they're winding down their time, which will stop on January 11th in Libra and Aries, we're also seeing Mars starting to build its connection as it goes retrograde through the sign of Leo. That just tells me there's a lot we don't understand about what is going on right now and behind the scenes. But fate does, karma does, and they're in charge. So don't try to push the rock uphill right now because it ain't going. Make sure you get and go with the flow. All right, so let's finish the week out on Sunday and just notice all of the things that I just discussed on Saturday are just escalating a little bit further. So again, the square between Saturn and Jupiter is building in intensity. The square between the sun and the nodes is building in intensity. Same goes for Mars. But the sun one, I think, is going to be what's highlighted on Sunday. And remember the point, right? When you have the conflict, well, we always have north node, south node. They're always in opposition with one another. But the way to balance their energy, the exit point for the conflict is through the sun, is through doing the work. So there's some heavy lifting that we need to consider doing on Sunday if we want to restore balance in some way. And with Pluto in there, right? It's time for the power to be to the people. So maybe that's what causes the conflict in this government oversight, which is the sun in Capricorn type of energies, because it's time for the people to step into their power. So we shall see how this starts to unfold, and know that it will carry us into next week as well. And that is why I said the energy over Christmas, I hate to say it, but it's pretty crunchy. So don't pick fights. Don't come in with an attitude, right? Know that there will be conflicts, and know that travel may be one of those conflicts, because we're going to see this T-square that now will involve Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter. So that can make things really difficult as well. So there's just a lot that will be on your plate for the week, and knowing that the nodes are being activated, there's free will, and that is how we respond. But when fate has work to do, we can't change what that work is. So you got to definitely follow the signs and clues of anything that's showing up for you. And I will tell you, anybody who has planets, especially in the early degrees or rising sign, or your descendant, or the IC, which is home, or your MC, which is work and career and status and fame, you're going to feel this work more than most. And it could be the 28, 29 degrees. I try to keep the orbs pretty tight. Just depends on how sensitive you are to the energy. But those of you with those planets in these areas are going to feel the work for the week of Christmas. So my advice to you is, while you're watching this, if you have any Christmas shopping, wrapping, baking, things that you should make sure you have all settled, do it this weekend. Because otherwise, trying to do it after this weekend is going to be really, really difficult. So that's my piece of advice for you, and I hope it helps. Of course, come back next week and sit with me, and we'll break it all down day by day so I can give you some ideas of how to work with it. But remember, if you've got a square, if there's pressure, you have to release it some way, and you want to do it in a way that's positive, right? Now, if you want to get a head start on that, go look at my write-up for the whole month of December, because I've already broken it down day by day for you anyway. Of course, I add more flavor and my wonderful sense of humor, so it's always worth coming back to watch my breakdown of the week as well. But that great way for you to go take a look and get an idea of what to expect for the Christmas holiday. And after Christmas, we will wrap up the year with a new moon in Capricorn. So everything is starting all over fresh and new. And this Capricorn new moon energy will give us a preview of what some of that work in 2025 will look like. All right. That's the quick rundown because you got to get out and do your shopping. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an incredible week ahead. Don't forget to watch the tarot cards because there's more information there. In fact, I already did the tarot cards for Christmas, and there's a little bit of hidden magic in those cards, which surprised me. So you might want to watch for the first 4 signs when you see that post, and maybe you'll be just as amazed as I was. All right, everybody, we will talk again next week. Make it a great one, and like and comment to let me know how your week's going, and I look forward to hearing all about it. Take care, everybody. Be sure and check out your weekly tarot card messages as well. Those, along with this astro lesson, are going to give you the big picture. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you next week.